The following podcast is brought to you by the Ebb Tide Treatment Center. Many people wrestle with addiction. You don't have to. Reach out to the Ebb Tide Treatment Center, where they wish to empower each individual encountered with the support, hope, and tools required for long-term sobriety, priding themselves on providing the best possible treatment experience for you and your loved ones based on unique needs. They're committed to breaking the stigma that plagues those suffering with addiction and their families by educating and bringing awareness to the community. The Ebb Tide Treatment Center provides individual and group therapy, multiple recovery pathways for support, evidence-based clinical support, integrated aftercare social reintegration, personalized treatment planning, program addressing whole life health, and Vivitrol program, all available. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, reach out to them at ebbtidetc.com or call 844-430-4357. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to AIW's The Card is Going to Change. Before we get this week's edition started, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Thanks to Angelo's Pizza, serving us up wonderful, delicious dishes today, as they do to you at every one of our live events at Mount Carmel. If you want to try Angelo's Pizza and you can't make it to one of our events, or you want to try something other than pizza, head to Angelo's on Madison Avenue in Lakewood, Ohio. Of course, thanks to Smart Mark Video, who takes care of all of our live recording needs at Mount Carmel and every single one of our live events. They've got that available for you on MP4 or DVD. Check it out on smartmarkvideo.com. And as always, if you've got some sort of graphic or marketing, any kind of design needs, head to jackprints.com. They do everything for us, whether it's a banner, it's a logo, it's business cards. If you're a small business owner, they can do all of that for you and more. Check it out at jackprints.com.
JAKPrints.com.
Oh, yeah. And that wonderful voice that you just heard is our special guest on this week's episode of AIW's The Card is Going to Change. None other than Marty DeRosa, one half of Marty and Sarah Love Wrestling.
Yes, it's good to be here.
One hole of wrestling with depression as well.
One hole of wrestling with depression.
Yeah.
A very polarizing figure in the professional wrestling world.
That means some people don't like me?
Well, I think it's because
I just always hear that.
I think he was going off the depression thing.
John said that
it's
earlier.
Polarizing,
Bipolarizing.
more like bipolarizing. Yeah, bipolarizing.
No, you just always hear like commentators say that.
Yeah.
He's a very polarizing figure.
I like it.
Well, other than
I learned all this stuff as a kid from wrestling commentators.
You're like a menacing looking guy, kind of.
I feel menacing.
I think he's a nice looking guy.
So you've never headbutted a Samoan?
What's that?
You've never headbutted
I would never headbutt a Samoan.
Come to AIW, we'll make it happen.
We're big on you got to wake up very early to trick that guy. That was a big one. I don't care how big or bad you are. If you take a thumb to the eye, that'll take him down.
Big shout out to Steve Guy for how drunk he was in the opening.
Yep, yeah. That's it. Well, other than Marty DeRosa, the voices that you've heard are Alex Worldwide Keller, who sat through a Cleveland Indians 13-inning playoff game just for this to happen, on top of a comedy show.
Yeah.
And, of course, AIW owner John Thorne. And as Thorne has pointed out, my name is Steve Guy. I'm your host and moderator of sorts.
This reminded me of watching WCW Saturday Night, where there would be a Braves game, and I would be like, "And this fucking game. I want to watch WCW Saturday Night."
That was pretty much my life.
Because it would be 5:05 in Indiana, and it would instead of 6:05, it would be 5:05 in Indiana, and it would be like 4:50, and it'd be like, "Oh, shit's in like the 6th inning," and I'm like, "End this fucking game."
Thank God you're here to bridge the gap, Marty.
I just wanted to watch.
Yeah, that is my life, like all the time.
I can't relate to that because I was like a strictly WWF kid. Like I felt like I would like breeze through WCW sometimes, and I'd feel like I that was like the first experience I felt like cheating.
What did you
know
think
I mean?
when you would see it?
I would be like, oh no, that's like that other wrestling.
See, I thought it was real and
one
WWF
time
was fake.
So one
Oh,
time,
that's
like
good.
listen, like one time, I actually found this magazine recently. My dad would always like fucking on his way home from work, he'd like stop at a convenience store and like get a pack of cigarettes and a fucking 12-pack of PBR, you know. And sometimes he picked me up the wrestling magazine, right? Mm-hmm. Fucking one time he brought home a WCW magazine. It had Sting with his finger in the air with the fucking
I know exactly the one you're
globe
talking
on it.
about. Yep.
And
He has
I was
the whole
like,
world in his hands.
yes, and I was like, this isn't what I wanted, Dad. This is the dumb wrestling.
Dude,
Like,
I would have my mom buy me wrestling magazines, and a lot of times she would look at it and be like, The Wrestler, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, or whatever, and they would have these like Flair or Dusty or whatever, and they'd be all bloody, and she'd be like, I don't know why I'm buying this for you, and I'm like, I need this magazine.
Dude, thank God you were here because like Thorne and I, when I'm re-announcing the AIW shows, Thorne's like, hey, let's go at this time. I'm like, yep, I'm on it. Let's do this. And we try to start it right on that time. And then he shows up to my comedy shows. He's like, what's going on, man? Why is it not starting at this
Yeah.
time? Like, this is comedy, man. And
Did
like,
you know
now you're here.
my one friend that was here tonight, Gary Lee?
no.
Do you remember?
Oh,
Gary
wait.
Lee?
That was that
Dude,
guy.
he's been to AIW
Yeah, it's the
shows.
suspenders boy.
He's been to AIW shows.
Oh
yeah.
my
Not
God.
only was he okay, so he texted me and he was like, because he was like, hey, I'm moving back to Cleveland. I would love to do something with AIW. Let's see what you can do. And I said, oh yeah, no problem. I'll let him know you're a cool dude and stuff like that. And then
fucking forgot
And
all
then
about
one
this
day
guy.
he
This
was
is a
just
great
like,
story.
He's like, I'm doing something with AIW. I'm gonna like be like kind of an MC or whatever. I'm like, that's awesome. Congratulations. Do a great job. Let me know how it goes. And then one night I'm like at a show and he's just like, well, I fucked up. I fucked up real bad. I think I'm done with the wrestling business. He's like, back to walking dogs and teaching for me. That's what I'm back. I'm back to that. I go, what happened? He goes, well, there was like a mystery partner challenge, and they gave me the run sheet, and I accidentally announced who the mystery partners were. I'm like, Gary, and he's like, I know, I fucked up.
So, dude, I was like looking at that guy, and I was like, I know that guy. I fucking know that guy, but I
Yeah.
couldn't place it. And now you just said that. Now I got it.
Now it all makes sense.
So that guy was a Chandler Biggins draft pick from your comedy show that you, Cabana, did where you showed your
He was
bad
Macho
wrestling clips.
Fatness.
He was Macho Fatness,
Yes.
and Colin Delaney was there.
Yep.
So this guy was there, and this
Of course, Delaney was there.
no, the Macho Fatness.
Macho
guy.
Fatness.
Yeah, Delaney was booked to be the third co-host or whatever. It was on a Thursday night at the Patty Rock, a
Yep.
bar that is no longer in
Rest
existence.
in peace.
And I
all the
believe-
places I've done in Cleveland have went out of business.
Yeah, the Blind Pig.
Is there a yeah? I'm thinking.
Oh, and the Red
Pig's gone, yeah.
and the Redstone is gone too.
Oh, Redstone's
for that,
gone too.
man. Redstone
Redstone's
was
definitely
good.
gone.
Yeah, this hotel, kiss its ass goodbye. It's going out of business soon.
No. Yeah, we have a mutual comedy
Yeah.
friend. Besides the point,
But so this is the type of thing that Biggins would do. He would find like the fucking most random, obscure person and be like, "That's the fucking
it.
guy." So like,
Cheatham's the midget.
So like, there's this comedy show. It's packed, and you just got this fucking guy there, and he's dressed up like fucking the Macho Man. He's running around being fat, and like Biggins was like, "This is the fucking guy. Like, we need this guy. This guy is our key to success. Like, we're gonna put this guy on a show, and he's gonna fucking skyrocket us to another level."
Yeah.
And he
American Grado.
yeah, exactly. He said, "This is the American Grado." Oh my god, I fucking forgot all about this until you just brought this
Yeah.
up. I'm glad that you waited.
I'm glad.
I'm glad you waited to the podcast.
I didn't want to
to.
embarrass him because I know he was probably like, "Oh God, I hope those guys don't recognize me."
And it turns out that he lived next to some guy that I knew in real life. And
Crazy.
this guy Cal was like, "Hey man, my roommate says he's fucking working for your wrestling company." I was like, "I have no fucking idea what you're talking
Yep.
about," because I had no idea.
Uh-huh.
Biggins did this all on his own. And
Oh.
I was like, I don't know anybody named fucking Gary.
Yeah.
Like,
See,
he's
I felt
fucking
like the
lying.
last time I was here, me and Biggins booked the whole territory. Because we went bowling, and I'm like, who could I? It was like everybody from Global. I'm like, you got to put the
That sounds
cartel
right.
back together.
Dude, he was fucking. He got so crazy that he tracked down fucking John Tatum.
Yeah.
Fucking his flea market that he worked in, and he was gonna drive there to try to negotiate with him to come make a comeback in AIW. But fucking anyway, he's all about this Macho Fatness
Yes.
guy and your buddy Gary.
Yep.
And fucking he gets Gary there, and Gary's
it.
all nervous, and he's like, "Yeah, we're just looking for a hype man. You know what I mean? You come out, you're hyping up Marty and Colt's show. It was great." He's like, "You're just gonna come out, you're gonna get people hyped up. You know what I mean? You're just gonna say some fucking funny stuff, and get like." create a good, nice, fun atmosphere.
Did he do it
before the
as
show.
Macho Fatness or just?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
No, he was
no.
a dude in suspenders.
I think he wore
Oh,
like a
maybe.
suit or something like that.
Oh,
dressed
maybe
real
yeah,
silly.
maybe he was trying a different.
I think he had a
character.
bow tie and suspenders.
Okay, yeah.
So no, and now I specifically remember what it was. Okay, this is right before Tim Donst's diagnosed with cancer. He's the AIW champion, and we're gonna do a thing where we're gonna vacate the belt and we're gonna have a 4-way for it. Well, none of this is announced, and he comes out and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for AIW tonight? And everyone's like, yeah. He's like, Tim Donst will be vacating the championship. We're gonna have a 4-way tonight. He
this
can't
is that
wrestle
guy?
anymore.
Yeah, this is that guy.
Oh my god. And like everyone's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
I think about him every time I'm backstage at AAW and I see the whole like run sheet, and I'm just like, God, he just was like, and then this guy will beat that guy. This guy will beat that guy. Then there'll be a run in. Then there'll be a promo, and then there'll be this intermission.
He said more shit, but like that was the only thing that I remember. He's
Oh,
like, "We're vacating the championship tonight," and Nick Gage went back to prison.
It has been almost 2 years
Yeah.
since I first ring announced at AIW, and to this day, someone will be like, "Hey man, just don't give away the card sheet for everybody." I'm like, okay.
He's legendary now.
I've been doing wrestling for a long time. Fucking, you always learn something new. Always happens, some new problem. Always that was a new fucking problem.
Yeah.
And like it was just like, fuck. And like me and Biggins would always fucking have like a tense relationship on show days, and I'd be like, that was your fucking guy. You know what I mean? Like, you picked this fucking guy, Macho Fatness from the comedy show.
who's been your draft pick that didn't pan out?
Worldwide.
The guy on the other side of the podcast. Let me ask you this, because obviously we're here, and the reason we have you here, Marty, is because you're more of like an independent guy. Like, when you do Marty and Sarah, why is it not specifically just WWE? Everything that you do,
Yeah.
like what got you involved besides Cabana? Because we all,
I think Cabana was your gateway drug.
I mean,
my
Cabana's
gateway,
your
yeah.
gateway drug.
That was
Yeah,
my gateway in.
I mean, is
because
that
I would go
the-
to shows and I was the funny guy in the crowd. I would
Yeah,
be
is
like,
that the end-all answer?
I would go to like IWA Mid-South and I'm like, I'm fucking killing in this. I'm murdering right now in Highland, Indiana. I'm like, I gotta. But at the time, I was just like, oh, it's just
and then
not
all the
gonna-
boys are the back, probably like, fucking asshole.
Oh, dude, the most
they had to
angry,
hate
the
you.
most angry I ever made. But at that time, I felt like I was more like, okay, I'm not like being a dick, because those shows, I felt like you couldn't be a dick at those.
See, when I
IWA
was a
Mid-South
fan,
shows.
like, well, I would go and be a dick.
Well, but the most I was ever a dick was the American Wrestling Federation. That was where they had the round system. That was like Tito Santana.
Oh, this is Tito Santana's thing that they used to sell at Suncoast Video.
Fucking yeah, he was the man. Who else? So Greg Valentine. Was Slaughter.
lot of old
Maybe
timers,
Slaughter, yeah,
basically,
and it was
yeah.
bad. And they
I just
did
know
it-
they sold the DVDs at Suncoast.
So this
Yeah.
is not like true indie. This
they
is just
did,
like a lot of guys.
They found someone who had money, and they were like, "We're gonna do this."
It was like a startup. It was like a
Yeah,
indie
yeah.
startup.
There's like a really great Wrestling with Regret that does the whole.
I love Wrestling
That's- yeah.
Regret. That is like Wrestling Regret is like when I'm bored at work.
Yeah,
and
they're
that's
great.
like that's like my.
Is that
guilty
an
pleasure.
actual promo just for everybody listening right now? Like,
Wrestling Regret is
That's
a-
an actual
You gotta watch
promotion.
it.
Yeah,
No, it's a
Rest-
YouTube video.
Wrestling Regret is a YouTube channel, and like they just go
okay.
down and they document fucked up shit
He's
that happened in
awesome.
wrestling.
So good
It's
at it.
it's
All right,
it's
fair enough.
amazing. So like that's like my guilty pleasure when I'm like bored at
So
work.
American Wrestling Federation they got just a bunch of like WWF guys that were done.
Fuck-ups.
They were done. And then they were like, we got to be different, so we'll have a round system. And they would put like stools in the ring, and it was so bad. It was so bad. And they were in Hammond, Indiana at the Hammond Civic Center. That was like my home territory, Hammond, Indiana. And we're like, we got to go. And we walked in, and this was like, I would have to
Probably
say
like 1996 or something.
Oh no, man! Like this was like 93 or 4.
Oh,
We were,
okay,
like
yeah.
high
Oh,
school,
man,
in
even
high school,
earlier,
right?
yeah, okay.
And it was like walking in, and the only shows I had ever seen were like WWF shows at the Hammond Civic Center, or WCW shows at the UIC Pavilion or the Hammond Civic Center. So I walk in, and this is kind of like, this is weird. And I remember like looking around, and I go, "Where's our seats?" And my one buddy just goes, "Well, let's just ask Tito." Tito Santana sitting there with his shirt tucked into his trunks at the fucking
Gimmick table?
No, he's having a hot dog at the fucking hot dog stand, right?
He's not even at his table.
And
concession
that
stand.
became like a running, because I'm sure everybody who's wrestling fans have like running bits they have with their buddies or whatever.
Sure.
And always it's just like, and one of my buddies always is like, that's fucking Tito. And yeah, he's just at the fucking food place eating some hot dogs or whatever before the show. And we got front row because we're just like, how much are the tickets? And like, oh, it's like $5. And we're like, and they're like, oh, front row is 10. You know, we're like, you have front row
Fuck yeah,
available?
10,
and they're
dude.
like, yeah, front row's available. Like,
It's just like Worldwide tonight at your comedy show.
Yeah.
So I paid extra because I,
25 years later.
we're gonna go there and just fucking wreak havoc on the show. So we were front and center, and we were just the biggest fucking dicks at this show, talking shit to everybody. There was a manager, and his name was Joey Bagley. Apparently, he was like mobbed up in Chicago, right?
Of course.
Should have
sounds
murdered
like
us
it,
all.
yeah.
He's probably funding in a
He's
little.
one of the managers. We're all over him. We're all over these guys. He had some like guy who, and we were just like, "You're the fucking janitor. Look at you, man. Like, what are you doing here?" And then, so Joey Bagley comes out again, and this time he's got Greg Valentine is his manager. That's his charge, and he's like pointing at us. He's like, "Those are the guys." And Valentine just looks like he's fucking hammered, right? And Valentine just looks at us like, "Oh, those are the kids." No guardrail. There's no guardrail. There's mats, but there's no guardrail. So Valentine was wrestling like fucking like, I don't know, Tom Zenk or Tim Horner or something.
Dude, I wish it was Tom.
I know.
I love Tom Zenk.
Oh, I will get into Tom Zenk in a minute. I'm obsessed with Tom Zenk.
I've been trying to find him on like websites.
I know. Valentine gets drop kicked out of the ring and comes and fucking tries to like flail his body into us to fucking hammer us. And we all get out of the way, and his hand hit the chair so hard because that was meant for one of us. And he was so mad, and we ran away. We were like cackling. We were so happy with ourselves, but
Dude,
it was the worst.
Greg the Hammer Valentine is that guy that I think everybody in the world that's gone to an independent wrestling show has just seen him looking fucking miserable at.
Well, at Windy City Pro Wrestling in Chicago, he fell through the stairs or something.
Oh,
and,
then he had
sued
like
them
that
or
big
something.
lawsuit.
But I was thinking about that, where there are so many guys like Honky Tonk Man's another, like if you watch
I
wrestling
love him.
YouTube shoots late at night,
You can't.
you're gonna watch a lot of Honky Tonk.
You can't
Man.
talk negative on Honky
No.
Tonk Man within the AIW community
No,
because
he's a legend.
John Thorne's got like one of the most amazing Honky Tonk.
Oh yeah, your Honky Tonk Man story is amazing.
We booked him at a college party. He's the best.
When that podcast is like one of those, like I think that's like podcast Hall of Fame wrestling podcasts. Like you need to listen to this one. That's up there with like Truth Martini and Cabana's podcast. That's fucking crazy. But Honky is a guy who, like, you think about it and you're like, I mean, he had like a great run in Memphis and all that stuff, but WB for just like a few short. But it's like all these guys, like Rock and Roll Express, same thing. It's like they've been doing these weird indie shows for way longer than they were like the fucking
Relevant,
top
yeah.
guys.
Well, like top guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's crazy.
What do you think about? And at this moment, it's kind of rumor. We'll see if it takes place. But they're going to redo Starrcade. Rock and Roll Express is going to be now on Starrcade.
Yeah.
That's the rumor.
Yeah.
That's the deal.
Sure.
What do you think?
I mean, it's another,
At this point in time?
It's the best. I think it's the
another-
best.
You love it? I mean,
They better film it.
like as an indie promoter, I feel like John Thorne, you're like, this is the most amazing thing ever.
they're booking Starrcade like an AIW show. AIW presents Starrcade.
It's Starrcade,
Listen,
WWE.
As an indie promoter, I don't love it because I want to book the Rock and Roll Express, and I know their indie prices went way the fuck up.
Yeah, right.
Way up.
So now, but like I remember, and it's just a weird thing to think about, like with the Rock and Roll Express. It's like I watched their like documentary on High Spots, and I'm like, God, these guys were so fucking over, and they were just like the biggest stars on the planet. But then you're also like, but fuck, dude, like that was like high school for them.
Right.
And now
Yeah,
they're just
yeah.
like they're like the dude in high school who was like the shit.
If you really think about it, like the amount of years that they were super over is so minimal.
To what?
so small,
to,
yeah.
To, like all the other
Yeah.
years.
I mean, like, so you're like, oh, fuck. But, but they're very, like, because I was at the Gathering of the Juggalos one year, and I was just there. I did comedy, and then I was just watching wrestling.
Were you a guest of Colt Cabana?
He had the comedy show, and then I was hanging out with Cabana, yeah.
When I was there, Tila Tequila got the rock
I was
thrown
there
at
the year after that, so I was like, God, I missed that.
Ryan Satin was going to give me 10 G's for that video. And then-
But, fuck. But the Rock and Roll Express were booked there, and like Ronnie Garvin was booked, but he didn't have the fucking blonde hair.
Yeah.
And everyone, like, he came out in a battle royal just in a pair of jeans and a polo, and everyone's like, who the fuck is this guy? He just looked like an old, like, Italian
Dude,
guy.
I'll never, like, I think that year, Biggins and I, he was like, oh, man, ICP's doing a fucking iPay review for this fucking Legends. And it was like at 4 o'clock in the morning. He's like, comes to my house and he's like, we got to fucking order this, man. They got fucking Piper and Ronnie Garvin. And I'm like, it was supposed to start at like 2 a.m. And it went on at like 4:30 in the morning.
Because Mick Foley had to do a comedy show. But he wanted to do commentary, but he was doing his comedy show. So they had to wait. And it was like, it was so bizarre. But the Rock and Roll Express were there, and I was just hanging out, and Robert Gibson's like, hey man, what's your name? And I'm like, oh, Marty. He goes, Marty, you in charge here? And I'm like, no. And he's like,
my name's not Violent
I
J.
bet you're in charge here. I bet you're in charge here. And like everyone had golf carts and stuff. And he's like, drive me around in them golf carts. Take me around here. I'm like, I don't have access to golf carts. Like I'm not in charge. And he's like, I bet you're in charge. And I'm like, oh man, these guys were just like,
it's just smooth. So it's just smooth talking Southerners.
But like that was the deal. But Honky Tonk Man has Hawkins has that great story of like him and Gallows at a WrestleMania party, and they see Honky Tonk Man. They're like, we got to talk to Honky Tonk Man, and they're like, let's fucking do this. So they both each sit on the side of Honky Tonk. Honky, this is great at WrestleMania. And he's like, oh, fuck this shit, fuck this party. And he was all fucking. They're like, oh come on, there's like a mountain of sushi. How cool is that? And he's like, you fucking marks, that's coming out of your fucking paycheck. And it's like those are the coolest stories. Like
we were talking about this earlier before we started podcasting, but like there's something special about those guys that are just like fuck it, that don't give a fuck about like making it, and they were just like fuck it, man, like I don't believe it, you know what I mean, like I'm gonna work in fucking Dallas for the rest of my life.
Because if that was the deal and you could stay in a place, because I love Between the Sheets. That's one of my favorite other wrestling podcasts.
I love it. It's just very long.
I know it's very long, but I put it on and I do all my work throughout the day, and it's just on. And one of the like the tropes of that podcast is they talk about how like it'll be like, oh, we're doing, you know, the first week of December for 1989, and they'll be like, all right, the Observer's reporting that Dr. Tom Pritchard is going to be headed to the NWA, and they always say this anytime around a certain area. And I finally saw him at a wrestling show in Chicago, and I was like, dude, were you gonna go to WCW or NWA or whatever? And he's like, what? I'm like, oh, there's this podcast, and they mention you all the time, and like the dirt sheets were saying like you were supposed to go there. And he's like, if it was then, I'd fucking know about it. Like, and that's what's so crazy. And he's like, I was in Dallas, and it's like, to me, that is just like insane to just think like I'm gonna just stay here. I don't need to go fucking anywhere else. Like I'm the king of this town.
Homestead.
Like you hear about those like Von Erichs and like going to fucking nightclubs and like that Chris Adams documentary, like Gentleman's Choice, which is insane.
I've never seen that.
Oh, it's insane. And they just talk about how like they couldn't go anywhere because like the fucking girls would rip their fucking shirts off and everything, and they were just like that to me. Like when I'd watch World Class, I was like, oh, this is the coolest. And when I would walk down the street and there would be like bushes and stuff in the like by the sidewalk, I would act like I was high-fiving the bushes like I was the Von Erichs and shit, because I was just like, this is insane,
dude. Like it's fucking it's just like a different world now,
that's
know?
why with the last time I hung out with Biggins, I was just like, you got to book everyone from Global. You need to do like global, like a global reunion. I wanted him to book everyone from Global.
When he called Bunkhouse Buck to book him, Bunkhouse Buck like said no at first. He's like, yeah, can I talk to Jimmy? He's like, he's not available. He's like, oh, I want to book him for wrestling. He's like, oh yeah, this is Jimmy.
Yeah, I know. Like all those guys, it's just so great. And I think a lot of those guys are probably just like, oh man, I'm fucking scam these fucking marks from Cleveland. It's like, we're more than happy to be scammed, sir. We
just want to hear you tell stories for like a couple hours. You know what I mean? And
who do you think is the one? Is there one guy out there who like would have? Because like clearly, like, you know, there's every once in a while you'll find somebody like, you know, Beyond the Mat comes out and all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, like this is amazing. You know, there's these like, oh no,
like,
you know what I mean?
The funny thing is like you say that and you go on, but you talk about Biggins and I think about this as you're talking. And I'm like, if there's Biggins is more like Marty than Thorne, you're like Marty. Does that make sense?
No, yeah.
And like in the terms of like everything, like he asked that question, but like in my mind, I'm like, dude, you're asking that question, and Biggins already has like 15 names loaded up, and he's like, dude, you don't even know.
Because this is what's gonna be hard going forward, because Biggins was like an encyclopedia of
everything,
and like
every wrestling promotion ever.
No, like just everything that ever happened in wrestling.
Yeah.
Like we used to always joke because like he would give me like what the WWF and like urban legend refers to as the Finkel report. You know what I mean? Because like that was always the rumor is Fink had a job because he would send Vince the report of everything else that was going on. So Biggins would always be like, this is what's happening, like right here. And like, I don't even need to read all the drama on Twitter or anything. He would just break it all down and give me the final result. So now I'm struggling because it's just like, I'll like be catching up on things like a day late. It's like, man, do you know about this fucking WWN fucking email leak? I'm like,
Yeah.
right. No, man, I was like, I was kind of off the grid this weekend.
And then because on top of that, the thing was like, because you guys ran a promotion, it's like if Biggins saw something, he was that guy who wasn't afraid to be like, I'm gonna text this dude and be like, hey, what's going on with this, man? And like he just sounded like, I'm gonna jump into this shit. He didn't.
But
care.
everything is so quick now, and like,
Yeah.
there's shit where it's just like, oh, that's already done, you know?
Yeah.
Because like I saw, and it's pretty funny, like with Progress, where they're like, oh, sexy star, and I'm like, they're already booking it. But then I saw it was like a tag team. It was like a I'm like,
it's like, come on, that's like I tell people all the time, like wrestling moves like a week is like all like 6 months, like because so much stuff happens every single weekend and every single week, like everything's fucking forgotten so quickly.
yeah. But you wonder who the next guy who you're just like, oh, this is the next Dennis Stamp. Like you wonder.
So it's like to circle back. It's Tom Zenk.
You think so? Okay. Yes.
I look for Tom Zenk. I'm not. This is no fucking exaggeration. Like at least 5 times a month, I try to get into an intense Google search trying to find Tom Zenk.
Yeah.
And like, then like, you know, I'll tweet about it. Like, man, I'd love to find Tom Zenk. And all these fans are like, check out this Facebook page. I'm like, that fucking page has been abandoned in fucking 2013.
You see the
know what I mean?
mugshot. You see the mugshot. Because Tom Zenk, this was around, I think,
Did you ever
around
listen
2000 on the Law.
when he was doing like
Dude.
these shoot interviews?
Dude, when he would be on the Law, and he would be saying crazy shit. And then he started doing all these podcasts, or not, they were doing podcasts.
It was before a podcast.
He was he would do the Law, live audio wrestling on their show, and then they would stream it. And then he started doing a couple other things, and he was saying like crazy shit. He was like Dusty. He would fucking do Dusty impressions and talk shit on Dusty.
Oh, I
he would
love
say
him.
crazy shit about
I just want to
Diamond
book
Dallas
him.
Page.
I just want to book him so I can get the shit that he would.
But I
wouldn't
was
say.
like under the impression, and I don't know if someone said this or I heard this in like a chat room, but they were like, WWE like gave him money to say like just go away.
Where are you at on the Max Payne documentary, dude?
I need to see it.
Do you?
The thing that shouldn't be.
I fucking watched.
I saw a preview of
the
it.
trailer is on YouTube, and
I've seen that.
I watch it a few times a year.
Yeah.
and he's another guy that I look for.
Yeah.
Here's my theory, because if you watched the fucking like, it was like a table for 3 with like the fucking Click or some shit on the WWE Network. They have footage from the fucking European bus. So my theory is WWE bought it off,
Gave him money, said, "Go away,
and
you
he
can never talk
disappeared
about this."
because they have like, why else would they have camcorder footage on the fucking European tour bus? And it's very similar to the footage that he.
I think about too. I think sometimes like that would be that's like one of those like holy grail.
That is like if
I want Tom McGee and Bret Hart.
Yes.
I want that on a tape, and then I want, because there's got to be too. Like I wonder if like smartphones were around during like the Monday Night Wars, like how much crazy shit
people sent.
that would be nuts.
Like correspondence back
Just
and
texting back and forth.
or like
yeah,
the
yeah.
awful shit that ECW guys would do at those hotels and stuff. Like, you would wake up every morning on the weekends. Like, you'd wake up every like Sunday morning and be like, well, let's see what New Jack uploaded on fucking Twitter. And you'd be like, oh my God, that's insane.
dude, like he's nuts on social media these days.
Yeah.
So besides Tom Zenk,
Yes.
my other holy grail guy, this is a very fucking out there wild card. And somebody actually, because I mentioned it on a podcast before, they must have signed up for like one of those websites or something where like those, you know how they got like, if you're like, you ever been like, oh man, I want to look up my ex-girlfriend, I can't find her. And then like,
but then it's like you got to pay a credit
all
card.
this shit comes
Yeah.
up, you got to pay,
You're like,
right?
Got a credit card, I'll show you all this stuff.
So like somebody must have paid the money, and they were like, boom, here you go. My other holy grail guy is the book Jerry Flynn from WCW. Lightning Foot Jerry Flynn. Somebody sent me a complete screenshot of what appears to be his home address, his home phone,
fuck yeah.
his cell phone, like all this shit, and I'm just keeping that one on the back burner. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
they keep going. Did you talk to me? And I go,
I was gonna
"Dude,
say, we haven't
I'm
called
waiting.
that yet.
I'm waiting for the right moment, man.
I bet he still has those fucking blue karate, like navy blue karate pants and the black kick
like
pads.
that's what I love though. Like, you know, like there's a million amazing independent wrestlers right now.
Yeah.
And like I like some of them, and I'll book some of them, but I feel like now everyone's kind of trying to follow that fucking routine. So I'm just like, I find myself watching like 1996 Monday Nitros going,
Yeah.
who can I book? Like,
Like,
you're like
imagine
trying to
that.
stimulate my
who are-
ideas.
Dude, that
yeah,
locker room.
I mean, that's one of like Marty. Like, who is your guy? Like, if you go past and you're like, oh, because obviously you pay attention to the indie scene currently.
Yeah.
If you're like, this is my holy grail guy, to current. If you had to book, let's say one match, you go holy grail guy, current guy. Do you have anybody in mind that would stick out?
I like Jerry Flynn. We had talked about. I don't
Oh,
think
yeah.
I talked about
Because he's
Jerry
just
Flynn.
like a weird obscure. Like that's how we found ourselves booking Bunkhouse Buck.
Yeah, I would say if I had to go back to like a lot of those, what I loved about Nitro is like all of a sudden like John Nord would show up for like
Dude.
a month and like win matches and then just go away or get killed by somebody.
I
and then
just
go
went
away.
on a fucking streak of John. Like I watched this fucking John Nord match on. It's like John Nord versus the Barbarian, and like I'm like fucking cooking some food or whatever. I'm like, fuck this match, because at that time, like I'm watching it now, but I'm still thinking with my like 14-year-old brain, like I'm not gonna pay attention to this.
Yeah.
And I look up and they are doing the fucking craziest shit.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit. So I'm rewinding it and I watch and I'm like, I tweet out like, I love fucking John Nord. And then somebody sends me this fucking, like the internet is insane, right? Somebody sends me this list. It's like John Nord's greatest matches. It's like 100 fucking free uploads.
Yeah.
And I just fall in this fucking like rabbit hole of like watching berserker matches.
Did you see his commercial for his dad at a car dealership?
Oh yeah, where he's elbow dropping the windshield? Oh, I
Yeah.
fucking saw it, dude.
So I think I love the global guys so much.
See, I don't know a ton about global.
Yeah.
Because like
loved
like
it.
I said, I was like a WWF guy.
Yeah.
And like when I was like, I don't know, maybe like 12 or 13, there was like this weird channel that would sometimes get like USWA.
Mm-hmm.
So like outside of WWF, when I would turn that on, I accepted it because I think it was during the WWF like crossover, and I saw some WWF guys on this. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch this, and then I'm like, fuck, man, this guy, the Spellbinder, is really sweet.
Oh, I thought like that.
I thought that was
going to
be
my
the
pick to click.
Yeah, dude, the Spellbinder.
I always remember as a kid too when I would see Jeff Gaylord, and I remember as a kid being like, I think I should change his last name. I always was just like, that's a weird last name.
The only weird thing about that, from like being a little kid,
Yeah.
that is like, I remember fucking, I don't know, I'm probably fucking 6 years old or whatever, and my dad's taking me to a fucking house show at the Richfield Coliseum, and like this is like right when Shawn Michaels is turned heel, you know what I mean? He turned on,
yeah.
You threw
Barbershop
Marty through
window.
the barbershop.
he turned on
window,
Marty
yeah.
Jannetty, and like he's coming out, so I'm a sexy boy, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I don't know what that means, but I know it's like not good for a kid.
Yeah.
And like he's coming out at this house show, and I'm with my dad. I'm like, my face is turning red, and I'm looking at my dad. I'm like, oh man, is he gonna get mad? Like,
Oh, I
is he
love
gonna make me
that.
leave? And like,
Yeah.
I don't like, I have no memory, like other memory of that house show, really, other than like, I know that he's saying "sexy boy," and like, I don't know what it means, but I think it's bad.
Oh,
and,
man.
And my dad's gonna make me stop watching wrestling.
What's up, everybody? Alex Worldwide Keller here to tell you all about at Thrift Store Jobber on Instagram, Etsy, eBay, and other vowel-starting websites. Now, politics are weird today, but politics were real weird back in 1991 leading into WrestleMania 7 because Sergeant Slaughter turned his back on the US of A. And Hulk Hogan stepped up to the plate, and boy did he ever with this t-shirt. Hulkster right there, American flag, Hulk Hogan, he's doing it for the red, white, and blue. Me and you, were you not safe? I know I was, brother. Use Worldwide to get 10% off this beast and many other fine pieces of apparel from at Thrift Store Jobber.
I remember watching, and my dad would watch with me every once in a while. Then he'd like just like fall asleep, and I'd watch the end of like primetime wrestling or whatever. And I always remember like watching like Sensational Sherry, and as a kid just being like, I want to fuck this lady. I remember as a kid, even like if it was like her and Elizabeth, there was something about because Sherry would always like get like thrown around by Hogan and stuff. You'd see like her pantyhose, and I just remember as a
The
kid
way
being like,
the way she's tossed around, and it's like,
lady.
like even though she has like the silver makeup on her,
So
you're like
into it.
Elizabeth, it's like super clean.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, she's pretty, and then Sherry shows up, she looks so slutty.
I loved
and
it.
like, yeah,
I
man,
loved
honey.
it.
That's like the difference between finding your dad's Playboy and then you
Yeah.
find the Penthouse
or the
like, oh
Hustler or
yeah,
something. And you're like, oh,
yeah, or
a Hustler.
Yeah, it's way better.
And like
absolutely.
So like another weird thing about like fucking ladies that were hot about AIW is like fucking. So I didn't
What a
really
great
know.
segue.
I didn't know anything really about her. The only thing I knew about her, like until I became an adult or whatever, about Missy Hyatt was like my neighbor Freddie. He used to have the WCW trading cards, and he used to always have Missy Hyatt cards. And I used to be
She's
like,
one of
oh,
our greatest
man.
listeners, by the way.
I used to be like, oh man,
I need to say that
That's
right
like
now.
That's like
Yeah.
While she's listening probably to this, one of our greatest listeners, Missy, we love it.
Well, I was gonna say some weird shit about wanting to fuck her, but now you just made it awkward.
Yeah.
But
now.
she is.
But
Missy, turn this off for like
Yeah, just
10 minutes.
Missy, hit pause.
But like
Hit that
it's like
15-second rewind button.
So it's like it was like this weird thing. Like as a kid, I was like, oh man, that chick's pretty hot, you know.
Yeah.
And now, like as an adult man with a wrestling promotion, we book her and like she like contributes to this storyline, and she turns out to be like this fucking like super cool and like totally like kind of off subject. Like Missy Hyatt will sometimes write me like these emails that are like 7 paragraphs long.
Oh, man.
Like motivating me to be like a promoter and like telling me like
I love it.
telling me like Eddie Gilbert fucking tricks about like how he did things, and it's just like holy shit, like
Dude.
this is a girl that my neighbor Freddie just showed me on a WCW trading card. Now she's sending me these emails with like trips, and it's like you kind of still want to fuck her for like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
for a totally different reason.
Break
Like,
out that Wrestling Vixens DVD.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just fucking. It's a weird thing. I'm sorry, Missy. I didn't mean to disrespect.
No, it's
you.
the difference between like, hey, I want to just jerk it to you, to be like, hey,
like a
I want to
fantasy-
make love to you.
Like when Missy Hyde sends you these emails and like when Biggins passed away, she sends me this motivational email and she's like, listen, this is how Eddie Gilbert used to run a territory and this is what you got to do.
love
and
it.
she gives me like all these fucking
No,
like
she's all-
like
yeah,
all
she's
this
awesome
like
to us.
input, and I'm just like I'm sad, I'm mesmerized, I'm like taking back to my childhood. It's like such a mix,
So
of
many
emotions.
emotions. Yeah.
And it's just like when you like really think about it and put it in perspective, it's like, holy shit, like Missy Hyatt like is like trying to give me advice and keep me in the game.
That's
like
the coolest.
fucking
That's so cool.
Like that's the shit to where like there's a ton of times where I like want to hate wrestling, and then it's just like Missy Hyatt will just shoot you an email, be like, "Hey man, let me tell you this Eddie Gilbert story," and I'm just like,
That's
"Holy
insane.
shit!"
That's insane. I remember as a kid though, with like knowing later on about how Eddie Gilbert was like the man and smart and like could find work everywhere and everything. And I remember as a kid being like, he's like this little guy, but like I guess he's somebody, you know. And like and then like as you get older and you're like, oh, this
Now
dude was
he was the fucking man.
he was the man. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, you know, so like I've like had to go back and discover a lot of this stuff for the first time because, like I said, I was a WWF kid. Like that was it. You know what I mean? Like still pissed about my day. Like Biggins bought all these magazines. I found that fucking Sting magazine one day. I was like, this is the fucking magazine from
That's
the
it.
convenience store.
the wrong magazine.
I knew exactly what road it was on, and I was pissed. But
Meanwhile, if the WWF magazine was probably like, hey, they're like the Ultimate Warrior was on the cover.
like somebody
Yeah.
sweet. You know?
Because I remember when I met all my like wrestling friends. This was like in 5th grade. I moved to a new school, and I was just kind of like, you know, I like wrestling. And my friends were like, oh, I like wrestling too. And I was like, what do you? And they were all WWF, and I'm like, no, Demolition is a knockoff of the Road Warriors.
See, you're so
And
advanced.
Sting is a better version than the Ultimate Warrior, and Ric Flair is better than Hulk Hogan. And I just remember, I was just like, oh man, but I think I was right with like.
I mean,
most of those.
What I always love is like those guys all kind of started within each other. I mean,
Yeah.
like Sting and the Ultimate Warrior were a tag team.
Yeah.
When they first started out together, and people like don't realize they're like, oh shit, really? Like, yeah, no, those guys rolled up together.
See, like I think maybe you were in a different position because the NWA would go to the Chicago
Yeah.
area.
Yeah,
and,
that's true. That's
we
very
were like,
true.
Like the NWA didn't really come to Cleveland, like
Or Ohio in general.
So
yeah.
like even now, now the arena's downtown, but before the arena was in Richfield, Ohio, the Richfield Coliseum, which was like where I grew up, like 20 minutes away. So like my dad would always take, like it's like probably 30 minutes
from downtown Cleveland. It's 30 to
there.
40 minutes away.
That's what was weird as a kid. If like I remember in class, like if the teacher would be like, I remember one day we had to do like just write down as many like other like cities in states that you know, and I wrote down like 1 million, and they're like, how do you know all these? And I'm like, because of wrestling. Like, how the fuck not? Like, how do you know Denton County, Texas? And like, because of the Von Erichs. Like, I just knew all these things just because of wrestling. Like, I knew them all. But yeah, like growing up, like I would watch the NWA, and I know like, and I'd watch it with other friends, and they'd be like, this is like dark, and it's not as like good. It doesn't look as good as WWF, but I was just like, no, man, this is it. And then like
adult wrestling,
and like reading wrestling magazines and like seeing wrestlers in there, but never seeing them wrestle. I remember being a kid and being like, yeah, DC Drake's one of my favorite wrestlers. And I'm like, I've never seen him wrestle to this day. I don't think I've ever seen him wrestle, but he was in Pro Wrestling Illustrated and he wore like cool makeup. And I was like, yeah, it's fucking, that's
isn't
what
it
I'm
like,
into.
like, I feel like that's kind of the thing that sucks about like society now, or how it all is. Cause like, those wrestling magazines were like, that was it. You know what I mean?
It was the
just
internet in your hands.
Right. And like if some random fucking dude was in that magazine, they were
a big deal. And now like it's funny, like you go like and you listen like between the sheets and like, well, it was all like East Coast guys and all the offices were in the East Coast, so they clearly were like, hey bud, I'll put you in the mag.
Right.
And but to me, and I remember as a kid thinking like, like having my like GI Joes be wrestlers or whatever, or like,
dude, that was
or
me.
if I'd get like multiples of like my Hasbros or whatever, or something. It's like, and I'm like, yeah, this guy, and I would like thought I made up names, but now I look back and I'm like, oh, that was just a dude, like that was wrestling in some East Coast fed or something.
You saw him in some defunct magazine.
I'm like, oh, like Vic Steamboat. Oh, that's from fucking Indie Fed. Like but I thought like I made up that like Ricky the Dragon
It's
Steamboat
like in
had
your
a brother.
subliminal fucking
and I had
memory.
like my Tom Zenk Galoo, but I'm like, no, this is Vic Steamboat.
dude,
Rick
could you
Steamboat's
imagine
brother.
like getting Tom Zenk in 2017 on a podcast?
I think he is because
He's the Holy Grail.
There
I
was a
think.
moment where I was like, there's nothing better than I would listen to The Law on my fucking AOL dial-up, and he would just be saying the craziest shit. This was before you can go on YouTube and watch Iron Sheik, Honky Tonk Man,
Right, all of
Sandman, right? Just talk crazy shit, and it was just like so unexpected. And I'm like,
and he was just like, fuck
the
it.
Z-Man? What's he so big? And he was like funny too. He was very funny. From
Very
what I
like
remember,
personable.
Very
A
funny.
lot of them are on YouTube now.
No, yeah, and it was like so charismatic, and he would do Dusty and like make fun of Diamond Dallas Page. And I was like, this is so fucking funny.
I think he's like, I honestly feel like Tom Zenk is the fucking Holy Grail right now.
I think he is.
And I think that we need to make a fucking effort to get him back in a wrestling ring in 2018.
Do you think he even watches anymore?
No way.
'Cause I
He's probably like a fucking dude that's got like
Yeah.
a fucking like lumber company.
Yeah,
or
because
something,
sometimes
you know?
there's guys who are like, oh, I don't watch wrestling anymore. And I'm like, no, that's not true. I watched a pay-per-view with you at your house, but whatever. You can act like you don't watch wrestling anymore. But then there's other times where these guys, and you think like, if you are like Jerry Flynn and you're fucking flipping through channels and you see Raw, are you just like, what the fuck is this? Like, that's got to be so weird
Like,
to be Jerry Flynn flipping through the channels.
It's gotta be
and you
so-
see like
right.
the Shield reuniting or whatever. And you're just like, ah.
Like, dude, it's like they have to keep. I feel like they have to keep up on it, because I feel like anybody that's been a wrestler or even had like success like those guys, like I feel like they all think that like there's still like
There's
one
still a
last
chance.
run. You know what I mean?
I have
one
to
last
think
ride.
Because I think when I have buddies who stop doing stand up, I'm always just like, how do you stop? And how do you not see like a buddy who's like at the comedy club in your town or doing something big? Like, how are you not just like,
Because I think about
get
it
out
all
my
the time.
notebook and write some stuff?
I think
out?
about it all the time. Like, oh man, like sometimes like I'll fantasize a bit. Man, I'm just gonna be a guy that comes home and watches the news and like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like just as
a regular
normal
dude.
You know what I mean? Like just fucking complaining about having some kids or something. You
Yeah.
know, like sometimes it's like a fantasy, and then I'm just like, nah, man, fuck that. Like wrestling. When wrestling is the best, wrestling is fucking the best. And like sometimes you can blame wrestling for like whatever, but and like it sucks, but like ultimately like it's so much better
It's
than
always
being a
the
regular.
best.
It's so much better than being like a regular person.
I don't know. When I see some people that I meet or talk to or whatever, and I'll just be like, what are you into? and they'll just be like, man, whatever. I watch a game here and there, and I'm just like, I just see people who aren't really like passionate about anything,
Right, and there's like no like subculture. Like,
Yeah, and
like,
I'm
there's
like-
so much like subculture to wrestling. There's so many like different avenues you can find. Like,
I'd
go
rather
down.
you give me a guy at WrestleCon who's got a fucking old fucking NWA World Tag Team title over his shoulder.
I love
Give
that
me
shit.
that guy over the guy who's just like, I don't know. I watch some stuff on Netflix and Hulu and just kind of call it a night and go to bed. Fuck you. I want the guy who has the fucking NWA Tag Team title with the blue fucking leather strap.
Right,
Like,
'cause-
I want that guy.
he's
I want
fucking-
to talk to that guy.
He's got a lot. He's got a story behind that belt.
So yeah.
That's a fantastic segue because at this year's WrestleCon in 2017, our booths were like right next to each other. Pretty
fucking
much.
right they were.
Yeah, fucking
By
were-
design.
You
I
have to be
requested-
by
by
the cool
design?
people at those conventions.
Who was?
I got nervous though. You wanted me to come up on stage, and I got really nervous. I thought I was
Yeah.
gonna freeze. I was like,
But because I was like, oh,
yeah,
you got
yeah.
great stories.
I have
And
stories,
you-
but I was like, oh shit.
What I love about your podcast, especially at the beginning when it was you and Biggins, I was just like, these are just two dudes who are doing the same thing that most wrestling fans
Yeah,
fantasize
exactly.
about. Like, how many wrestling fans are sitting in a bar and they're like, dude, if I could do this, I would book this person and this person, but I would also go back in fucking time and I would get fucking all the members of Los Boricuas to show up.
That's still how it is
And
now.
it's just like, but that to me, and like you said, it's just like a lot of times it's like the thing to do is just like, all right, let's get all the PWG guys and we'll just make it. And it just like those guys have to be.
That
like,
is
I'm
still
so fucking sick.
That's still
Like-
the same way now, but we're just like we literally. I mean, I think we just had this conversation this week, and we're like, but like what would Biggins book? You know what I mean? Like we still have that
I just, like-
conversation
it's just
because
like-
he's like that different guy.
It's just like so. Like at this point, I've been doing it for a while, and it's just kind of like I want to have fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like that's cool, man. Like we could put on a couple good matches. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But like, I want to book some fucking dude that like
to just mix it up.
that I'm just gonna talk to, and like it's fucking. He's gonna tell me some fucking crazy shit. Like, I tried to book fucking Barry Darso once.
Oh yeah,
as.
all of his all 800 characters.
No, I texted him and I said, "Hey, man, because we're booking the stud stable. Right? We got Bunkhouse Buck, we got
Yes.
Colonel Robert Parker," and I was like, oh man, the Blacktop Bully was kind of mixing it up with the stud stable, and I was like, I got his number, fucking, and I texted him. I said, hey man, my name's John Thorne, blah blah blah. I run a company in Cleveland. I said, I'm really interested in booking the Blacktop Bully. And he responds, I'm only doing demolition at this time. And I just wanted to be like,
Barry.
dude. I just want to be like, dude, you literally just have to go buy a red shirt and
Yeah.
cut the sleeves off.
We'll have it for
and
you.
I'll give you fucking $500.
Yeah.
Like, that's got to be the easiest fucking money in
Yeah.
the world. And he's like, no, man, can't do it. And I was like, fuck, dude. But like, that's the kind of shit that makes me excited. You know what I mean? Like when I book Little Guido, like
Yeah.
he's got some crazy ECW stories. Oh, I'm gonna fucking, I'm all over it.
Because it's like, not only do you get these guys who can do a great job in the ring and they'll draw attention and people are like, oh, very cool. But then also you, selfishly, get to ask Little Guido, what the fuck was that maniac escape
Exactly.
from New York locker room like?
That's
that
100%
Star
why-
Wars Cantina
Little
fucking
Guido is that
locker
one
room.
guy that like tells us and does everything,
And that's
Like,
the greatest thing, because I think like
he's the best.
Tommy Dreamer's the same way, where it's like the stories that guy is told, he's just like, hey, you can't tell anyone this story,
like-
but it's like, oh my god, this is the craziest story on the planet.
It's like when you book these legend guys, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to like be like fans, like, let's lower those expectations down a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
they're not gonna fucking be giving you fucking, New Japan fucking Wrestle Kingdom. They're really gonna be giving me some fucking cool ass stories backstage, and that's why they're here. You
Yeah.
know? But nobody gets that.
And that's the thing too, where you never know like who of all those guys like back in the day, if everyone's like, actually, you fucking talked to Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, he's got the greatest. Like, you never know.
yeah, like, oh, man, I wanna book
who
him,
that
dude.
person could be. And yeah, I think like Tom Zenk, where you're just kind of like, because he would have the stories about all that crazy shit. Also, too, he was like a guy who was everywhere. He was
Right.
all over the place. And then it would be nuts if he was just like knew the shit going on right now. I'm convinced. My wrestling fucking conspiracy theory brain thinks the WWE paid him off
To
to
just
go
go
away
away.
because he was saying crazy shit.
You think Vince McMahon just has like a
I think
development
I
somewhere in
think-
like Montana where
I
he
think-
just sends people?
I think they just have their fucking Jerry McDevitt's like, I'll take care of him, and they're just like, give Tom Zenk the go away.
Dude, can you imagine? Can you imagine Jerry McDevitt doing a podcast?
That would be another, like, if him and Vince have this big blow up, and he's like, you know what, Vince, fuck you. And then he's like, hey, Thorne, put me on your podcast. I got to fucking tell you everything.
I I would love.
Or like I'm angry Howard Finkel. He's like, I'll tell you everything you want to know.
Here's my thing though. Like a lot of people say a lot of bad things about Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
I'm super loyal to Vince McMahon. I don't want anybody to say anything bad to Vince.
Wow,
Vince
but I
McMahon.
mean, you get some
within
crazy,
reason.
Yeah,
Within reason.
You get some pretty crazy stories.
I mean, people
though.
can say some bad things about me, and I'll accept it. But
Yeah.
there's a line. You know what I mean? There's a
Yeah,
line where I
yeah,
don't want to be
yeah.
being told.
What about, okay, so you're there at WrestleCon with us, but
Yeah.
you're also aware of what's going on currently in the wrestling indie scene.
Mm-hmm.
You get to book that kind of match that we're talking about,
Yeah.
where you have that guy in your holy grail,
Yeah.
plus current indie
Okay.
superstar, just an
Yeah,
indie
yeah.
guy that you love, and you're like, he's not getting enough love.
Yeah.
What do you book?
I'll
like
do-
guy walking around WrestleCon. You're
One
like,
of my matches
throwing
would
him in.
be, let's see, let's do like King Kong Bundy against Keith Lee.
See, I was going Stevie Ray,
Yeah.
NWO Black and White Stevie Ray
Yeah.
against Michael Elgin.
Let me tell you my problem with NWO Stevie Ray, and this is why I have so many problems with WCW, especially at the end. First of all, nobody was like, "Hey man, you can't wear these tights on TV because it's fucking like crazy." That was why I knew. Like, I look back now and I'm like, "Oh, of course WCW went out of business." There was some Scott Hall. I wanted to ask them when I did a show with him at WrestlePalooza, and I should have asked him like, "Hey man, you had that tag team title that had the fucking missing side plate for like a year." Like Vince wouldn't be like, "We can't have that title on TV. The fucking side plate's off." But WCW was just like, "Fuck it."
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. That's the thing as like a wrestling nerd OCD. I'd watch and I'd be
See,
like,
I've never even realized.
Scott Hall
such
has
a
a tag team title that's missing the side plate, but he fucking did. So yeah, I would say, or like, oh, you know who's a guy who I did research on and found out all about him. And again, you're not a big global guy, but I am. Chaz. From
yeah, I know a
Global.
little about Chaz.
So Chaz now is a security guard at the Astros Stadium. And he's got a fucking beautiful mullet. I'm telling you, Chaz might be a guy to look into.
All right.
I think Biggins would be like looking down
Well,
from
that's the
heaven,
thing,
being
is,
like,
like-
ah, yes, Chaz.
So like now I'm just like, man, we got to set up more like bar shows and B shows just so I
Yeah.
can book weirdos.
Oh, yeah.
because
And
I
and
can't book
think-
weirdos at the big shows.
And I
Like,
think Chaz would be like more than happy to show up and be like, "Oh hell yeah, man, I'll do that shit." But he was like a heartthrob. But that's the other thing too. So like Sarah, my podcast partner, I'll be like, "All right, I'm going to show you a guy who
just
at the
walked in
time-
with a bunch of
who might have
tacos.
just walked in here." At the time, I'll be like, "All right, this guy was considered a heartthrob back in the day. What do you think, like with today's eyes or whatever?" And yet Chaz was in Global was supposed to be like a heartthrob. And now you look at him and you're like, oh, he's like this doughy, skinny, fat, mulleted like guy. But
dude,
I don't know.
look up fucking John Tatum's fucking flea market, and it's just like this guy was once fucking in shape and had Missy Hyatt at the prime time of her life.
And Missy Hyatt was like, I'm dating that dude.
If you-
'Cause I heard her on
yeah.
Cabana's podcast, and she's like,
Yeah.
I saw Tatum, and I was like, I'm dating that
If you've
guy.
ever listened to Missy Hyatt on anything, she's like, "Oh, Tatum's the guy I should have married, and I should just still be with him to this day."
Because I remember, and
She
I don't know
says
why,
that.
too, as a kid.
I want her to marry me.
When I was a kid, and I showed Sarah the Fantastics videos and stuff.
Fantastics were awesome.
But when to me as a kid, it was like if you had long blonde hair and a fucking dark beard, I was like, that's the coolest fucking shit on the planet. and I saw Michael Hayes, the Fantastics, and I was just like, how cool is that? I thought Eric
Chest
Embry.
hair.
I thought Eric Embry might be another guy.
Yeah, dude, somebody was just telling me they were studying Eric Embry fucking at our wrestling school, and my mind was blown.
If you go on YouTube and do the whole Eric Embry Skandar Akbar Devastation Incorporated, there's like someone put together like 32 videos in a row doing their whole storyline.
I just want to give a shout out to all the people on YouTube that put together these fucking
You guys are
compilation and
angels.
playlists. Like,
Angels.
I watched this fucking one guy's like Timmy B something. He's got like USWA versus WWF.
I
He's
love
got
it.
The Hearts fucking like. Then there's a guy that's got the Hearts War. It's like then there's one that's just like. I watched this playlist one day. Fucking. It's just called The Terror of the Moondogs, and it's just the Moondogs beating the fucking shit out of
Who
people.
knew? Who
Like,
knew?
Just killing people. And it's just like
I love it.
I love it. Like, fucking love it. Shout out to Monsoon Classic, AIW Concession Man. He fucking does the internet a great justice by fucking
And that's what's so
shit.
awesome with YouTube, where it's just like I heard them mention like, oh yeah, someone put up all the Eric Embry, and you're just like, oh yeah, and you watch it and you're like, this dude should not have been as over as he was. He should not have been the king of fucking world class.
And
where
that's
the Von Erich, he's teaming up with like Kerry Von Erich,
And that's
shit.
what I think that is missing in independent wrestling. It's like everyone's like seceding to this, like, gotta book this guy, because they have good match. And
Yep.
it's just like, there's no like,
I want a character.
natural, like, just fucking, this is the guy, and he's just the guy in fucking Indiana.
I want
you know
a
what
character.
I mean? And that's it.
Yeah, of just like, oh man, I hang out in Indiana. I don't
This and like this will never work anywhere
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
You know, like I think that's what like independent wrestling promotions is it's just it's going away. But it's just like, can you imagine? Like there was just dudes like
Lawler.
yeah, exactly.
Like when I
Lawler.
remember getting in Chicago, we got I was in Northwest Indiana, but we got Chicago TV, and seeing that and finally getting like USWA because I was a world class kid for sure. I love world class, but then when it was like Continental and Memphis, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And it's Jerry, and they're like, here's a video of Jerry the King Lawler, and it would have some fucking AC/DC fucking shook me all night long to Lawler beating up Hogan, Andre, Flair, and you're like, what the fuck?
Right.
You're like, this shouldn't be. How is this guy wrestling the guys on the big shows?
Do you think Lawler was like the early like troll? Like he was just like, I know this TV's gonna get somewhere. You know what I mean?
And and it's such a fun thing too. Like, and like I remember like UWF would do it too. If like someone left, Jake the Snake's gonna leave. Okay, cool. Well, we have a compilation of all of our superstars beating the shit out of
fuck out of
Jake the
him.
Snake Roberts. Tune in next week. We'll be back.
It's just so opposite of like today, where
Yeah.
it's like this guy's gonna leave. We have a
Erase him.
compilation of
Yeah.
everything he did amazing.
Yeah.
Whereas
now
opposed to, like,
now it's like if this guy's gonna leave, it's like he's off TV for
Yeah,
6 months, so
these
you
are-
forget about him.
And because back then it was like, oh, okay, Jake, well, guess what? We're going to fucking ruin your career by showing a video of everybody in our
Beating
territory beating you up. Like any little kid that was a WF fan like you growing up was going to be like, actually, I saw this video of all these other guys beating up Jake the Snake. No, you were like,
He's not that
oh,
good.
this guy's a snake and he's cool.
Oh, dude, just totally off subject. I just thought about my other Holy Grail guy.
Oh, God.
Outside of fucking Jerry Flynn and Tom Zenk, I got my third pick,
Here it is.
Rick the Model Martel.
We try to get him.
Pretty good.
We did try to get him.
We try to get him.
I get bummed
Not
out
interested.
because I heard, again on Between the Sheets, that Rick Martel and Don Callis were supposed to be the models.
The supermodels,
Yeah,
yeah.
and they were going to do, and then Martel bailed and went to WCW.
Dude, so like because that story started floating around again recently, that's
Maybe
when
you booked the supermodels.
I started watching. I specifically started watching Nitros for like
Yeah.
Martel's comeback.
One of
And
the
it's
weirder
like,
ones.
It's not as like I remember it being so great. It's not as it doesn't hold up as great at this age in the game. It's still pretty good, but it's just like you look at him and you're like, holy shit! Like he was a really fucking big guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing, too. So I get Sarah on all the old wrestling, and I'm just like, gotta watch this. And I show her Bret Hart, and she's like, oh, he's like big. He's like a big, beefy dude. And I'm like,
No,
Bret
he's-
was little.
he's
But then
small.
you watch
He's a
now, and you're
small
like,
guy.
oh, shit.
Yeah,
Bret
he
was
was
like
big,
a
yeah.
fucking big dude.
Dude, wrestling is fucking so weird how it's evolved. Like, where, like, so what is your kind of like just fucking, like, as a fan, what keeps you kind of like just so fucking in? Because talking to you, like, you are one of like those rare characters that is like immersed in everything. And someone's
I
like,
love everything,
Someone's
yeah.
like, you see this? You're like, yep.
Yeah.
You see this? You see this? You listen to that podcast? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, where do you fucking find the time to do it all?
I try what I love about, and I think like the Reddit, like Squared Circle is great. That's like a great, like, gotta see this, gotta watch this, gotta, or I'll listen to like Wrestling Observer or whatever. And then I have my friends who are fans who are like, you gotta see this, you gotta see this. And there's some stuff where it's like, I should watch more of that, and I like almost feel guilty or whatever. But I have like a nice mix of like all the main stuff going on. Then there's some stuff I can't stop watching the old stuff. Like there's just some days where I'm just like, I gotta watch every Clash of the Champions ever.
I mean, I have those days, and then there's some days where I'm just like, I just want to watch fucking Home Improvement on Hulu.
But I mean, to me, because I'm just like, and we did a road trip for comedy, and I was just like, ah, man, 9/11 fucking ruined everything. Like everything was so much more fun before 9/11. And it was, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm fucking just gonna go
Just
back
living
in
your
time,
life.
and I'm gonna go back in time, and all I'm gonna watch is fucking pre 9/11 movies. I'm gonna watch fucking pre 9/11 wrestling, and it's just like I remember watching like an old fucking Clash of the Champs, like that one where they had like the Coors Light on the posts or whatever. Like Coors Light was I think it was like the New York Knockout or whatever.
Oh, that's my favorite one with Terry Funk and
Yeah.
Ric Flair.
Yeah, and I'm
Yep.
just like, this is the fucking best wrestling. Even the fucking
That's probably my favorite
Like I
match of all
remember
time.
like watching like fucking Tom Zenk against like primetime Brian Williams or primetime Brian Lee, and I'm just like, this is the fucking coolest. And I'll watch it now, and the matches might not be that great, but I'm just like, well, I'm fucking into this.
Yeah, it's just
I'm
like,
into it.
It's like a time machine.
But the new shit, that's cool. It's just like I love it too. But it's
I
like,
don't feel it's that cool though. That's my opinion.
I
like,
don't know. I would like this. Here's what and I'm getting a little like burnt out on just like, okay, these are all great matches, but like I want more Eddie Gilberts. I want more Jake the Snakes.
Right,
I
just
want
do,
more
like character driven
or like a
dudes.
gimmick where it's just like, holy shit, this is like, this dude's got to do all this shit before a show. But
Like-
well, whatever.
Like, I mean, I'm sure there's been more or whatever, but like the last like polarizing gimmick that I can think of right off the top of my head is like Raven. You know what I mean?
Or like the fucking Drifter now. I'm like,
Oh, yeah,
at
Elias
least
is
he's doing
doing it.
something,
Yeah.
man.
You
At
into the
least-
Drifter?
I'm into it.
All right.
At least it's doing something. And he hasn't smashed a guitar over anyone's head yet.
No, he did. He did.
Who did he do that to?
There was.
Was that in NXT?
No.
Oh, Finn.
Finn.
Oh,
Yeah, it
he
was
fucking
Finn. He
killed
did his
Finn.
Finn, yeah.
Yeah, he killed Finn. But I just
You
love.
think Finn's gonna be fucking talking about how he got a broken neck from that guitar?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
fucking-
And then the Drifter will be on podcast years from now going, that was fucked up before that.
Yeah.
I love that too, and I just love like old. But I don't know if like years from now, if we'll be watching. Oh man, did you see that fucking Drifter YouTube?
I don't think so, man.
I don't
'cause
know,
think,
man.
I think like the modern model moves so fast. There's not a lot of substance in it.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah.
But then there's this thing too, like you think back to like the ECW locker room, and you're like, that was like fucking prison. Like those were like scary men. And now I'll be in a locker room and I'll be like, look at all these sweet boys.
They just wanna
All these
play video
sweet
games.
boys here, right? You got a lot of sweet boys here. You know what I mean? It's
got
just
a lot of
like
sweet boys here.
there's so many sweet boys in wrestling now. Like maybe we need more like fucking murderers and just
I
fucking
agree.
scary dudes.
Welcome Nick Gage back to
Yeah,
AIW.
Nick Gage just welcomed himself back into the
Yeah.
AIW after his second stint in prison, and I just
Yeah,
go
telling
"This-"
everybody he's gang affiliated.
I said, "This is what the fucking wrestling needs," and he's telling everybody about
Outlaws, man.
He's just telling everybody about his gang affiliations
Jesus.
backstage, and I'm just like,
That happened.
This is fucking like
Yeah.
this is like we gotta fucking toughen this business up again a little bit.
Whatever
know
you
what I
gotta
mean?
do.
It's getting a little soft.
Whatever you got to do.
I mean, as we wind this down, you're somebody, you do a podcast about wrestling.
Yes.
Aside from us, like largely our podcast is about AIW.
Yeah.
But you're out there in the entire world. WWE, as people know it, independent wrestling. Do you feel like there is somewhere where it's going to connect? Because, you know, like you were just talking, you love the storylines and you love the emotion about it. And then you look at something in the last year, Will Ospreay, Ricochet, and was like, oh my God, flip. It's 5 stars, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? As a guy that connects them both, what is it for you?
So I always wondered too. I always wondered like if there would be like a guy, because I always remember back in the day, like you had the Giant and then you had Chris Benoit. And I was like, God, is there ever going to be a guy who's as big as the Giant who can wrestle as good as Chris Benoit? You know, I always was like,
What a
wondering,
dream.
Like,
What a dream to have.
weird world. But also though, we lived in a lifetime where we got to see Stone Cold and The Rock
Yeah.
and Hogan, and you wonder because like if you watch those old Raws or old pay-per-views or whatever, those guys were over like
People are losing their fucking minds.
or people were waiting
Going crazy, yeah.
6 hours to go to a Tower Records to get an autograph from Stone Cold. And
Right.
you wonder if there is going to be another man or woman who all of a sudden just like everybody's
Blows it
like,
up like that?
Well, I
oh
mean-
my God.
If you look like to like other aspects of like pop culture and shit, like is there anyone that's really getting that going on now? Like
Maybe there's so many
in
venues.
music
Yeah, because
and,
like that's
I
another
mean,
thing
Taylor
too.
Swift maybe, but like even then, that's not like some like Beatlemania
Yeah.
or like Spice Girls mania.
So the last thing
I really enjoyed the Lady Gaga documentary on Netflix.
Well, I just watched
there.
it's the
Maybe
20th
Gaga.
anniversary of Hype, which is a documentary about the grunge thing, and that might be the last huge like thing,
Yeah,
like
like
big
mobs
thing that comes
chasing
up.
and fucking-
And I don't know if there will be another, but if there is another, I don't know. Like I don't think like I don't see like my neighbor being like, oh, Braun Strowman, all right, I like that guy. But will there be another guy who's just like The Rock?
I think my conspiracy theory to me is I think they don't want that.
Because they don't want him to go away.
I think they want everything to be
I guess
the
Cena-
brand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just a brand. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And it's just like it's just a show. And like there's nobody that is larger than. You know what I mean? Like,
That's my other like my wish list too. Is you get like Cena in a hotel room, and he's had a couple bottles of wine, and
Like
he's
this hotel room?
and he's like, "All right,
bought 300 suits.
you want to hear my idea what my heel turn was going to be like?" Because you hear how he like bought that gear and stuff. Like, I'm obsessed with that. That's the one thing where I'm just like, before I die, I'm like, I want Cena with a fucking
What
little
kind of
buzz.
gear does heel Cena wear?
I want what your gear was. I want what
See,
your
what does
fucking
he wear?
catchphrase was going to be. What your stable was going to be. I want to hear all your shit.
What's
how that
he-
heel turn was going to be.
What's heel Cena wear to you?
To me, he's going to do like Ric Flair 2.0, and he's going to have all the fucking colors on the planet. He's going to have the robes. He's going to wear suits. when he
Robes
cuts
instead of the
promos.
cargo?
I have a different
yeah.
vision in my head because I
Uh-oh.
have some inside information.
Okay.
Oh.
For as long as John Cena has been wrestling
Yeah.
in jorts,
Yes.
he always has a fork in his pocket.
Okay.
Just in case. He might just call an audible and just start fucking
like it.
Abdul and the shit
I like
out of
it.
my brother.
That's
All
your
right.
theory?
That's my theory.
Because
I think your theory's wrong.
yeah.
Well, we can neither confirm or deny.
But I want to hear all about, because clearly because there's that story that Hero said where he had like put a deposit down on all this new gear and stuff, and then was just like, fuck it, you guys can have it. And
Like he has to put a deposit on.
I know, right? John, we don't know if you're good for it.
That's something.
But
Right.
that whole idea of just like what that would have been about, that would have been insane.
I think his heel turn is, I'm fucking a Bella twin. I'm a millionaire.
Yeah.
You're not.
That's.
I
I mean,
don't
that's
know.
already
Maybe it
the
would've been
case.
awesome.
though.
Then he might just go, woo.
Maybe.
You know
But
what I
that's
mean?
already what's
But
happening.
we'll never know. Maybe dye them tips like AJ did back in the day.
Oh,
when he was with Fortune.
AJ. What's up with this fucking guy's haircut, dude?
Sarah, do you like AJ's hair? Yeah. She likes it. Yeah.
She likes it.
There'll be days where she's like,
I
his
booked
hair is
AJ
killing
once.
it.
I booked AJ once, and he was like, "Oh man, losing that's not gonna work for me." TNA, man.
Hey,
I
man.
don't know, man.
Hey man, I'm a
Can we
teenage
do
champ.
like a 15-minute Iron Man draw, brother?
15.
I said, whatever you want to fucking do, AJ.
I remember back in the day when Ian Rotten was booking TNA guys for IW Mid-South shows, and somebody was in the ring and someone chanted TNA, and Ian Rotten just goes, "Fuck TNA, they don't pay my bills," and I'm like, "This guy's a rebel."
All right, I mean, I think that's gonna wind it down. Wrap
Always
it up.
end on, guys, if you're doing a podcast, always end on an Ian Rotten story.
I mean, why not? Why
Always.
not? Is there anything better?
Nope.
No.
Nothing better.
I was gonna say, as we wind
Before
it
we
down,
go,
wrap
what
it
do you
up.
think about Ryback's new co-host, Phoenix Marie?
All right. I have a lot of thoughts about Ryback's new co-host.
Here we go into the
So,
next. Hey everybody! Welcome to AIW's Card is going to change
Whole new
episode
episode.
2
Yeah, I know, right?
with Marty DeRosa.
I am going to, I listened to about, I got to see if I got that episode on my phone. I want to see how long I went.
Wait a
It was,
while,
so,
Phoenix
we
Marie?
joked around on my podcast where it's like that NSFW where it's like not safe for work. We say that his podcast is not safe for women because it's. I'm gonna see how long I got through. Because I hadn't listened in a while.
Oh, man.
I got 35 minutes in.
Yeah?
And that, I'll be honest, that last like 20, I think I was getting ready today.
Do you think he's, do you think she is the new podcast because Ryback is fucking,
I think that.
you think it's clobbering time?
I think that dude being in Las Vegas, and I think, and he's like, oh, Zigman brought, I don't know who the porn star was or whatever. I think Ziggler and Ryback together get into lots of shenanigans with porn stars, and if that's they're into, God bless them. But man,
I see Ziggler. He's just hanging out at bars in Cleveland.
this
not a fucking
what's your
porn star
over
in
under
sight.
how long this lasts? This is, I'm gonna say,
Oh, I'm saying she's gonna get bored in 5 weeks.
okay.
5 weeks, and she's like, "What the fuck am I doing this?"
Do you think she knows it's about wrestling?
I mean, yeah, they talk about wrestling a little bit. They talk about wrestling a little bit, but this first episode, if you've ever wondered the intricacies of the backroom casting couch, he asked the questions that I don't know if needed to be asked.
How do you think his Shaker Cup company's doing?
What's that?
How do you think his Shaker Cup company's doing?
I think he's sitting on a lot of shaker cups. I think if you go in his garage, he's parking. I bet he's like a Hummer guy, but he's got like a Hummer or something like that, some kind of SUV. I think he can't get it in the garage because I think he's got a lot of gold boards and shakers.
Just fucking
A
supplements.
lot of
and shit.
boxes from China just sitting in his garage.
You think he's rich?
What's that?
You think he's fucking super rich?
I'm gonna make an assessment that he doesn't have as much money he had the day he quit WWE.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I'm gonna say he's hemorrhaging money. No, I don't know. He's probably hemorrhaging money, but I don't know. Who knows? Good on him if he's doing it. But I think
You think he's trying to get in? Like, you think he's trying to get in on some of Phoenix Marie's porn money? You think that's?
I
his
don't
move?
know. Maybe he's the next wrestler who does porn.
Oh,
Maybe Feed Me
interesting
More.
twist.
Maybe Feed Me More is the new backdoor to China.
minus his Hall of Fame ring.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. And then one day, like Triple H will be like, "Oh, what if my kids Google Ryback?"
Well, I think that's a good one to end it on.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, he has to yell. It's feeding time.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Only if it's orally that he finishes.
All right,
right?
Rook. I'm sorry.
You just took it into Ryback territory there with that. You just went down in the gutter.
Terrible bad
my
things,
bad.
Steve guy.
No.
cutting that out.
Yeah,
dude.
boy.
That's fair.
Women listen to this.
No, they don't.
His mom
His
listens.
mom listens.
Your mom only listens so that she can
Mama
bust you
Bishop, I
doing
am so
illegal
sorry.
things.
My family likes two things in AIW: me and the weird world.
That kid's mom listens to the podcast so she can bust him doing illegal things
All
and then
right.
search through his bedroom.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
All
This
right.
is all getting cut. It's fine.
They're all legal somewhere, man.
Yeah, we're in.
Man,
All right,
should have
so-
ended on that Ian Rotten joke, man. That was that was
That's
a good
it.
one.
Exactly.
That was a good one.
So that's going to wrap it up. Your AIW's The Card is going to
Gotta
change
get the last word in, Steve guy.
for the very... No, I never do. Why did you just ruin that?
Oh,
John
you just
Thorne
did.
always gets the last word. You motherfucker.
You gotta let him do his outro, dude.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for AIW's The Card is going to change for the very little herd worldwide who was on this episode.
Super fan, Marty DeRosa, super fan. I thought.
I know, I'm
chime
fucking
in.
dumbstruck.
Yeah, man.
Have you ever seen a fan so fucking just in awe of you?
I got some. Yeah, it's a little weird. It's a little weird. When I was on stage tonight, he kept looking at me. I'm like, I think he's gonna murder me. This guy- give me a real creepy look.
Polarizing figure, dude.
Polarizing figure.
And of course, for our special guest, Marty DeRosa, listen to him on the Marty and Sarah Love Wrestling podcast.
Listen, I don't think we got to tell people to listen to his podcast.
No, we don't. But yeah,
We
I
need
mean,
the
he's our
light. We need the
guest. We
clicks.
gotta throw it out there.
Wrestling
them
with
lights.
depression.
He's signed
And
to
wrestling with depression.
He's
Yes.
signed to a fucking major podcast label. dude.
Yeah, we just, you know what I mean.
Label.
He graced us with his presence.
This is
We gotta-
like
we gotta-
this is like when like rappers like rap on other people's.
That's
fucking-
fair. I
Dropping
like
some-
it.
Dropping some bars.
This is like Ja Rule and Ashanti right here.
All right. And of course, for AIW owner John Thorne, my name is Steve Guy. Join us next week here on AIW's The Card is Going to Change. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Love you, Missy Hyatt.